Welcome. If you're in quality management, you already know the world has completely transformed since 2015. We're talking massive, undeniable global shifts, the explosion of AI, digital transformation, the urgent reality of climate change, and those supply chain crises that have literally tested every single industry. Because of these monumental changes, the gold standard for quality management is evolving. Today, we're breaking down the strategic evolution of ISO 9001:2026. We're going to detail the exact clause-by-clause changes and tell you exactly how much time you have to adapt before the deadline.
Here's what we're covering today. First, the evolution of ISO 9001. Then, leadership, ethics, and context. Next, risks, opportunities, and changes, followed by operations and continual improvement. Finally, we'll hit the transition timeline and the exact steps for adaptation. Let's get right into it.
Okay, let's dive into this. The central question you really need to be asking yourself right now is this: is your company actually ready for this new reality? Because the upcoming ISO 9001:2026 demands a complete mindset shift. We're moving way beyond just simple compliance and checking boxes. It's all about true systemic resilience now. Are your systems robust enough to handle the next global disruption? Well, let's see how the standard is changing to make sure they are.
Section 1. The evolution of ISO 9001 and adapting to the 21st century.
It's super important to remember that this is an evolution, not a revolution. The core Annex SL structure, that stays the same, but the expectations are finally catching up to the 21st century. Think about the 2015 baseline. It was heavily focused on compliance, used pretty generic language about technology, and lumped risks and opportunities together. But for 2026, the focus is completely on organizational resilience. It explicitly integrates digitalization and cybersecurity. It demands a formal ethical culture demonstrated by leadership, and, crucially, it separates how you plan for risks from how you plan for opportunities. It's all about building digital and ethical trust systemically.
Section 2, Leadership, Ethics, and Context, covering clauses 4 and 5.
We've got to start with this massive new concept, quality culture. Under the new Clause 5.1.1, leaders can't just sign off on a quality policy, hang it on a break room poster, and call it a day. Nope. The standard now requires tangible, auditable evidence of ethical practices and a quality culture that is actively demonstrated by top management. Auditors are going to be looking for hard proof that these values are lived and breathed at every single level of your organization.
Building right off of that, let's look at clauses 4.1 and 5.2. A huge update here is climate change. The 2024 Climate Action Amendment is now permanently baked right into clause 4.1. You have a strict obligation to analyze whether climate change is a relevant factor for your quality management system. Plus, clause 5.2 dictates that your quality policy has to explicitly align with your strategic direction and this totally new external context, which includes evolving environmental, social, and governance, or ESG, expectations. Your context analysis really has to be active and continuous now.
Moving on to Section 3. Risks, opportunities, and changes under Clause 6. Now, Clause 6 is an absolute heavyweight in the 2026 revision. What's really interesting here is the explicit separation of planning components. Back in 2015, risks and opportunities were just mashed together in Clause 6.1, which honestly led a lot of companies to just play defense, focusing way too much on risks and totally ignoring opportunities. For 2026, they are strictly segregated. Clause 6.1.2 is for risks, and Clause 6.1.3 is for opportunities. Opportunities now have to be analyzed, evaluated, and managed with the exact same systematic rigor as your risks. Plus, Clause 6.3 on change management gets a massive upgrade. It's no longer just basic planning. You need efficacy metrics, clear communication plans, and post-implementation reviews to actually prove your changes worked.
Section 4, Operations and Continual Improvement, covering clauses 7 through 10.
This is where your daily practices truly go digital. Let's work through some essential vocabulary changes in Clause 3. Outsourcing is now externally provided. Improvement is now explicitly continual improvement. But the absolute biggest game changer, maintain and retain documented information, is now simply available information. This is huge, guys. It officially paves the way for flexible, cloud-based digital evidence, slashing through all that paperwork bureaucracy, so you can finally recycle those giant, dusty filing cabinets. We really see that digital and ethical focus put into practice in clauses 7 and 8. Under clause 7.1.5, if you use software for measurement and monitoring, you now have to formally validate it.
Clause 7.1.6 elevates organizational knowledge. You need systems to retain and share knowledge as an actual strategic asset. Over in operations, Clause 8.2.1 requires you to communicate your contingency plans directly to your clients to build trust. And Clause 8.4 is absolutely critical. Supply chain control now goes way beyond checking technical specs. Your external providers have to align with your ethical and ESG expectations. Literally, if your supplier is unethical, that's now a direct audit finding for you.
Wrapping up the clause updates, we have evaluation and improvement in clauses 9 and 10. According to Clause 9.1.2, gathering customer satisfaction data now formally recognizes digital feedback channels. That means your website analytics, chatbots, and social media mentions, those are now valid quality metrics. In Clause 9.2, internal audits are shifting away from being just a simple compliance checklist. They must genuinely evaluate the effectiveness and objectives of your system. And finally, Clause 10.1 emphasizes that continual improvement isn't just about fixing mistakes anymore. It's about proactively ensuring your system adapts to shifting business contexts.
Section 5. The transition timeline in your action window.
Okay, this is where strategy meets urgency. I know this is the most pressing question on every quality manager's mind right now. How much time do we actually have? Until exactly when can you make changes to your current system?
The magic number is 3. After the official publication of the 2026 standard, there will be exactly a 3-year transition window to adapt your management system and pass your transition audit. Let's map these milestones out clearly. In May 2026, the final draft international standard, or FDIS, is published. This is basically the definitive text. Then, in September 2026, we get the official publication of ISO 9001:2026. That starts the 3-year clock, which means September 2029 is your absolute hard deadline. After that date, every single ISO 9001:2015 certificate globally will expire and become totally invalid. You definitely do not want to be scrambling at the last minute in the summer of 2029.
Section 6. Steps for adaptation and preparing for certification.
The crucial point here is prepping your organization early. So here's your actionable checklist. Step 1. As soon as that FDIS drops in mid-2026, conduct a gap analysis of your current system. Step 2. Start updating your documentation and leverage the new rules to digitize your quality processes and move to cloud-based evidence. Step 3. Train your leadership team on the new quality culture requirements and train your internal auditors on those separate metrics for risks and opportunities. And Step 4. Talk to your certifier early and schedule that transition audit well before the crazy rush in 2029.
Ultimately, ISO 9001:2026 isn't a massive rupture. It's a strategic evolution. It's specifically designed to strengthen your organization against the fast-changing challenges of the 21st century. So, I'll leave you with this final provocative thought to take back to your teams. Will your organization treat this as just another annoying compliance exercise, or will you use this specific transition window to embed true, resilient excellence right into the DNA of your company? The clock is officially ticking, but now you have the roadmap. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.